Okay, Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholayim La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rahakadash, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, led by the Spirit, taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan the Waf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. Just wanted to touch on this article with this this guy. Let me just get the title here. It's in the New York Post. It says, horrific moment, bullfighter is gored to death during his first performance. Right? And you know, this bullfighting shit is pretty big amongst Northern Kingdom. And also, somebody else in the audience died after seeing this shit. Okay, but it says, gruesome video shows a young bullfighter being gored to death at his very first performance, with a shocked audience member also later dying. Manuel Maria Trindad, 22, was seen making his debut Friday in front of almost 7,000 people. Okay, yeah, these bulls are not lightweight, man. That's 1,500-pound bull, almost a ton. He started running towards the animal just to hesitate as it charged back at him. As the new performer tried to grab his horns to slow it. Now, you ain't grabbing no horns and slowing 1,500 pounds down, guy. The bull instead hoisted him up by his horns and carried him away. Carried him all the way to the other side of the ring. So, yeah, boy, he impaled this guy. Several other bullfighters ran out, but failed to slow the charge as the bull continued attacking the helpless bullfighter, who remained sprawled on the ground. They eventually got it to move, but by pulling its tail and shining lights in his eyes. Paramedics rushed to treat the guy, but he suffered traumatic head injuries and was declared brain dead when he arrived at the hospital. He also suffered cardiorespiratory arrest. Yeah, because that nigga was scared as shit. Matter of fact, let me get that scripture. And I want to get this one too, but I'm gonna come back. Let me get the blue letter. Yeah, man, that's Hebrews chapter 10. Because the Lord, he's the father of terror, man. Hebrews 10 and 31. You know he had to have been shook. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And what does the scripture says about tempting the Lord? Let me see. Where's that at? Because with these sports, it's pretty much, you know, a lot of this shit is tempting the Lord. Yep, Luke chapter 4. It's in Matthew as well. Matthew 4 and 7. Yahweh said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Because remember, Satan was trying to get the Lord to, you know, do certain things in the wilderness. It's also Luke 4 and 12. It says, and Yahweh answering said unto him, it is said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So when motherfuckers is jumping out of airplanes, you know, they out on these safari hunts, and you know, they're trying to climb Mount Everest in that cold ass weather. You name it, man. Just out here X-gaming it on a damn dirt bike, jumping hills, and you know, surfing and shit, and you know, all that stuff, man. That's tempting the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. See, Esau, you know, he's a man of the field, a cunning hunter. That's just his nature. He can do a lot of that shit and, you know, kind of get away with it. But as of late, you know, a lot of these animals been attacking their asses. They've been getting, you know, attacked by bears and lions and, you know, shark and all kinds of shit. So they've been getting fucked up. You know, all that paragliding shit, jumping from airplanes and stuff like that. A lot of them been hitting that ground and bouncing like a basketball. But overall, you know, this is the shit that Esau do. This is not for our people. Matter of fact, I was reading in the comment boards. Let me get this one real quick. Ecclesiasticus, also known as the Book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? So when you're in the comment boards, people is like, you know, they don't have no sympathy for this guy. And then, you know, of course, you know, we're living in the last days too. Where 2 Timothy chapter 3, it talks about in the last days perilous times shall come, and it gives a list of things that will be, or the way that people will be acting. And one of those things is without natural affection. People don't have natural affection no more, you know. And then, you know, also with Yahweh Shai, Matthew chapter 24, verse 12, he says, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So people just all centered into their own zone. They get, if you get fucked up, average person gonna pull out their phone. They're gonna Facebook live you, whatever live you, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna take video, they're gonna get that footage, and then, you know what I'm saying, somebody in the backdrop might, hit 911, you know what I'm saying? But in the meanwhile, they're everybody got their phone out recording shit, laughing, giggling in the backdrop, right? But this had to have been a scene, man. This guy had to have been scared. And it could have been an Edomite too, because these Edomites are real big into this. But Northern Kingdom, they pretty much be the ones that's out there doing this shit for the enjoyment of these Edomites. Okay, so it says he suffered from a cardiorespiratory Portuguese outlet. Okay, 73-year-old was the person in the audience that passed away. An orthopedic surgeon who was in the audience also fell ill soon after the horrific episode and later died in the hospital. He had an aneurysm, erotic aneurysm, the outlet said, without saying if the horror of the watching the fatal. Okay, well, anyway, the Lord killed 2 birds with 1 stone in one audience. This guy's mother later wrote an open letter slamming trolls who had celebrated her son's death, which they blamed on him taking part in a cruel and medieval sport. Well, that's what I just read. You know what I'm saying? Who will pity your charmer? Or anyone that come on nigh wild beasts. Yeah, they're going to clown you. And then I see this. I think this was this happened a little while back. Japan bear attack victim 93 was actually murdered. Son arrested in shocking twist. I forgot how that went. I'm not sure exactly how that went, but it had something to do with the son. I don't know. A damn bear. Anyway, yeah, that's something to see though. She addressed a letter to members of the Portuguese animal rights political party People's Animal Nature and its supporters. I want to thank you for all your applause, laughter, and rejoicing over my son's death. Did you know him well enough to be happy about his death? Do you know if he liked animals? She wrote in the letter. But the whole thing is, that's why I wanted to bring that scripture out. When you're doing stupid ass shit, people, they're you generally, you'll have people that'll be like, you'll have, somewhat of some grief for you type of deal, but in the back of their mind, really, they're just going to be like, well, why the fuck was he doing that? Like, what do you expect? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and again, people are cruel, man. You're living in a cruel time, man. It says, my son belonged to a group of brothers who wear a jacket with honor and bravery. These groups never harmed a bull. They handled it skillfully. Portuguese bullfighting, unlike its infamous Spanish variation, is a bloodless sport where the object is to not kill the animal. Yeah, the aim of forcado, like Trinidad, is to grab the charging bull by the horns and stop it or tire it out. Man, how the fuck you gonna tire out a 1,500-pound bull, bro? And your ass ain't no more than about 98 pounds. It says, usually the bull's horns are covered in leather padding to prevent serious injuries to the competitors, although it isn't clear if that was the case. Okay, anyway. Nobody cares. But like I said, you go into the comment boards and people clowning the shit out of this guy and they don't care. They just don't care, you know what I'm saying? Because they looking at you like you're doing something dumb as hell. Which you are. That shit is stupid. What's the purpose of that? But that goes back to, medieval times. That's, some Edomite type shit. All that gladiatorial, Rome, Greek type shit where motherfuckers would be sitting in the audience and they'll let a big ass door up, a big ass cage up, and some fucking lion come running out and pouncing on who's ever out there. And then you got, those gladiatorial fights where, the audience will be booing and give a thumbs down because they want you to kill. Because Esau is bloodthirsty, man. A lot of this stuff comes from him. Going back to Ham as well. Ham beyond, but mainly these Edomites, they're definitely about that blood. They're about that blood. They can't see it no other way. That's the reason why they have hunting sports. They hunt for sport. They have a season to hunt year round because Esau has to kill something. Matter of fact, the scriptures talks about Esau as a cunning hunter. They're into this type of stuff. That's the reason why, MMA fighting is so popular now because it's a little more bloody and gory. NFL kind of lost a little bit of its luster, but people still watch it because it's that that people, they want to see that hit. They want to see. They don't mind seeing a nigga's leg get snapped. They don't mind a motherfucker being rolled off off the field with a brain damage and shit like that. They don't care about nothing like that. It's just the way that they are. So they're into all manner of blood type sports, man. And Esau, he's about that excitement. But we're not to tempt the Lord thy God. We're not to get into any of these sports, man. That's not our cut, man. Matter of fact, the scripture talks about I think it's in let me just type it in real quick. I know it's in Esau's the cunning hunter. Jacob was a plain man. Because we're plain people. We're not into a lot of this shit. But see, Jake get caught up in America and get caught up in the European lifestyle, so to speak, or these Edomites lifestyle, and Jake be trying to try a bunch of this shit and they be getting fucked up, but this is Genesis 25 and 27. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. So we will go fish and we will go hunt for food. There's nothing to take down a deer or some venison, you know what I'm saying? We got that skill, but we just wasn't into it like how Esau is into it. Esau was he was gifted with that sword. He's out in that motherfucking field. He this guy, I see it at the plantation, man. They be having up pictures and shit of these motherfuckers going. They be having like contests in certain seasons of hunting, with the big buck. Who killed the biggest buck? And they'll have a big ass picture, with this motherfucker with his gun, holding on to the damn the antlers of the animal they done killed and shit with a big stupid ass smile on their face, red as hell. And I've never seen a picture of Jake into nothing like that. But that's just the way that this shit is, man. But we're not to tempt the Lord thy God, man. And actually too, dealing with Esau is tempting the Lord thy God, because the Lord said to never trust thine enemy. Matter of fact, in that very same chapter, let me go back. It says to not trust Esau. In verse 10, it says, Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10, it says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And this is really going off into him, not trusting him. He's really that wild beast that's being spoken of here, but this can be twofold. And I was kicking it with the Ak earlier, the beloved brother Allah. He was so pissed with this chick that he had to deal with this morning and shit. And see, that's the thing. See, Eve, she is actually dealing with the serpent, and the Lord told us not to trust the enemy, man. So she's dealing with him firsthand, and that's the reason why a lot of them are going to be destroyed. Matter of fact, they're being destroyed on a day-to-day basis because they trust in his system. He gave them feminism, they set up for a minute. They riding on a high horse for a hot little sec, but when it all caves in on them, and breaks down on them, which is going to eventually happen because it's just prophetic. The Lord's word does not go out void, man. It's going to perform what he said it's going to do, roughly paraphrasing. So, just her being in this atmosphere or in this man's kingdom and getting all the treats and goodies that she's been getting, what she don't know is that this verse 13 right here, who would pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? Nobody is going to feel sorry for her at that point, because, okay, you followed this man. We was clearly told to not trust him, but here you go, you arm in arm with him, you hand in hand with him, and destroying your own family. You're destroying your own people with this guy. So when he comes down with the hammer and he starts to lose and fall, guess what? He's not going to be giving a fuck about you when you fall. You're going to be the least. Matter of fact, you're the least on his mind right now. But anyway, just wanted to touch on this for a hot sec. I seen the story. And again, people don't give a shit, man. When you doing stuff like this, people, they just don't care. Like, okay, well, all right, well, what did you expect? I mean, that could have happened to anybody that's in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he signed up for it. Now everybody's supposed to be all sad and shit, sending flowers, sending money to the GoFundMe, and nah, people looking at you like you doofy as hell, nigga. That's what you get. But anyway, I'm gonna end out there. Just a little quick, little hookup, man, to show, hey, these scriptures is real, man. So with that, Kwame Yasha Allah and the Bible Ball.